The Pope's funeral, which took place in St. Peter's Square today, was punctuated with an elaborate set of rituals. It came 6 days after the first Latin American Pontiff made his final public appearance for Easter at the same location. Now let's give you a quick wrap of today's events on our magic wall this evening. Of course, we do know that a number of people attended today's proceedings in the Vatican City, and looking at what took place today, quite interesting that a number of people also highlighted is the issues around how the Pope's funeral, of course, and how he was buried in a very simple looking wooden coffin rather than the normal traditional, of course, a three-nested one as per the tradition. After the funeral there, I'm just going to show you here some of the visuals coming in from today, today's proceedings, and just taking a look here, a number of people pointing out to a very simple looking coffin, a wooden one. And of course, much later on when we do talk to Father Russell, he'll be telling us some significance when it comes to what we saw today after Pope Francis's body lay in state for at least 3 days. Something else that a number of people looked into when it comes to the Pope's funeral is indeed the number of dignitaries who made their way, of course, to Vatican City today. Quite interesting. Donald Trump, US President, he was also there, as well as Volodymyr Zelensky. Also very interesting when that took place, is indeed the issues around the last time these two leaders met. And you would remember they last met on the 28th of February, and that was in the Oval Office. And of course, we do know that altercation that took place. So a very significant moment, especially when you look at the funeral of Pope Francis taking place and these very two distinct leaders also there when these peace talks in Ukraine and Russia continue. And another world leader who attended the funeral of Pope Francis is indeed Emmanuel Macron, as well as Javier Milei, and he is the Argentine president. And of course, he also attended the proceedings there. And you'd also remember Pope Francis indeed hails from Argentina. All right, and for more on this now, we are now joined by John Bevir, who's our correspondent, and he is in Rome, Italy for us, and he'll be telling us more about just what took place today. Maybe if you can just start off, John, by just giving us an overview and a wrap of the proceedings, that took place today.
Yeah, well, I think it produced some iconic moments, didn't it, in terms of what happened today. Of course, as you mentioned there, a slightly more simplified service as per Pope Francis's wish. We saw that with the coffin, we saw that with what he was wearing when he was placed into the coffin, all of those sorts of things. He said he wanted to be remembered as a disciple rather than as a leader of men, and I think that's certainly the case. A staggering amount of people here, somewhere in the region of maybe 250,000 were in and around Vatican City in order to see the funeral take place, and then probably something in the region of another 150,000 lining the streets as the Pope was taken to be buried in a basilica on the other side of Rome, a basilica he loved very much, rather than the tradition, breaking with tradition of the last 100 years of being buried in the Vatican itself. So we certainly saw lots of very unique moments from this papal funeral. I think as well a hugely important issue was the diplomacy that was going on behind the scenes, as well, as you mentioned, a lot of it featuring Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, his meeting with US President Donald Trump, those iconic now photos of the two of them sitting in St. Peter's, and what a difference that makes compared to the last time the two met in the Oval Office and the shouting match that very quickly developed there. So I think all of these issues hugely important. These are moments that we will remember from today. For those who were there in person, well, a lot of people have travelled a long way and have spent a lot of money in order to get here, and I think for a lot of people it was their chance to say goodbye to a pope that they loved.
Certainly, John, and one would ask and continue to talk about that very significant moment which we saw today take place, and that meeting between US President Donald Trump as well as Vladimir Zelensky. And one would ask, what does a moment like this mean for us as, you know, the globe, witnessing such an occasion at a very important moment in the world?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it might take the death of a pope in order to bring some sort of respite to the war in Ukraine. As strange as that might sound, certainly Volodymyr Zelensky, he has put out messages afterwards saying that he hopes it could be an historic moment, an historic meeting that might yield a breakthrough. We have seen President Trump from Air Force One on the plane. Well, he's been putting out messages as well, condemning the ongoing bombardment of Ukraine by Russia, calling out Vladimir Putin as well, and his motives. So this could be a huge moment, and it just happened at what will become an iconic meeting, the two of them in St. Peter's, and we have these photos of them, a hastily arranged meeting between the two, it certainly appears, with two chairs pulled together. So it could be that maybe this is a breakthrough that they need, that happened just before this funeral. And that, of course, is something that many people say Pope Francis would have liked. He was a man who frequently condemned war. We heard in the homily talk about building bridges, not walls, and that was something that they wanted to continue. So one would imagine that Pope Francis, if there is some sort of breakthrough, if it manages to come good, that would be something that you would imagine that he would very much enjoy have seen at his own funeral. So, I mean, it really is a fairly remarkable setting for this conversation to take place, and it was a remarkable gathering of world leaders, around 50 in total, 10 serving monarchs as well, reigning monarchs, I should say. So, I mean, it was a large diplomatic moment as well as a global event, as well as a chance for all those people to pay tribute to Pope Francis one last time.
Certainly, John. I mean, we saw a number of dignitaries who did indeed make their way, but on top of that, there were thousands of people who descended on Vatican City to come and witness this historic moment and this very special occasion. One would also ask then, what do you make about the atmosphere that was in Rome today?
Well, it was solemn, of course, as you would imagine. A lot of people very sad to see Pope Francis go. There was an air of shock, I think, when it was announced he first died, because remember, he appeared on the balcony on Easter Sunday and then was giving out blessings afterwards, and he died the next morning on Easter Monday at the start of the week. So I definitely think that sense of shock has dissipated slightly as people come to terms with his death. But although it was a solemn moment, a moment for reflection, a moment for thanks, it was also a moment for praise and celebration as well. Celebration of Pope Francis's life, and when people came here from around the world, they were meeting with a lot of other people of a similar mindset, a similar faith, similar shared values. So we saw gatherings of people who'd never met before from all over the globe. You would see people from, I saw a flag from Nigeria being carried by one man who'd come here, and he was having a chat with someone from the Philippines. So you would imagine those two might not have met if it wasn't for an event like this and that coming together. So certainly we have that element to all of this as well, that people have come here and have met other people that they share similar beliefs with, and that really shows the power of this coming together and the respect and affection with which many people held Pope Francis.
John, thank you so much for your time. That's our correspondent there, SABC News correspondent John Bevir in Rome, just giving us an overview and just taking stock of the aftermath of Pope Francis's funeral.